MP Sunil Handunnethi guarantees the COPE report on the Treasury bonds will be presented to Parliament this week. Mahinda Yapa comments on underhand dealings related to the bond issue.
ඇඳුම්කර වංචාවෙන් ලබාගත්තු කෝටි 1000ක මුදලින් මේ උදවියටත් කෝටි 10 දීලා තියෙනවා. දැන් අපි දෙවියන් වහන්සේට මේ කියන්නේ දෙවියෝ මේක බලා ගන්න කියලා.
Supreme Court approves VAT amendment bill. Debate tomorrow. 2 branches of the Lanka Development Bank to be shut down.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your primetime news bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Nicola De Souza. We start off with a look at our top stories.
The COPE report on Treasury bonds had made quite a stir in Parliament even before being presented to Parliament. It was earlier announced that the COPE report on the Treasury bonds was to be produced in Parliament today. However, it was postponed. This matter was widely discussed in Parliament today.
The working committee will reconvene once again at 2:30 tomorrow. A certain allocation has been made for the translations and the printing of the already prepared reports. It will be discussed tomorrow and I hope to present the report to Parliament this week. If this report is to be produced in a proper manner before the end of the year, this is the week that it would be done. After the budget debate commences, the opportunity for such a debate to take place is very low. When looking at what is taking place, as a member of the House, I am suspicious that there is an operation to prevent the report that has been signed by a majority of the committee holding the Governor of the Central Bank accountable for this from being presented. If MP Bima Virwansa believes that 8 out of 26 is a majority, he should once again go to school and learn mathematics again. The gentlemen in COPE have agreed that the report must be produced in Parliament this week. On the 21st, only 13 members have been present for the meeting. Of the 13, 8 members, which is the majority, had approved the report of the chairman. Another 3 of those who approved it placed their signatures today. That makes it 11 members. The group of MPs who do not agree with this report are discussing on presenting another report. They have their own temporary chairman or the person who is making the report can chair it. They can even bring Arjun Mahendran for that. It does not matter to me. However, there is a report that has been passed and approved by COPE. COPE is bound to present the report along with its translations to Parliament. It needs to be done. In Jaffna, there is the AAVA group. They are those who left the Parliament. The rogues are on that side. Please print a mirror for them. Then they will be able to see the rogues. COPE is bound to report to Parliament. It can be 1 determination or 2, or it can even be 5. The House can decide on what should happen. I informed the Speaker as well. COPE can produce the report. If there's an issue, the Speaker can provide a decision on it. We all appointed a chairman and we have placed our trust on him. Do you not trust the chairman? There will be shortcomings and there will be a clash of opinions. Let's solve them and move ahead. The issues are on who is whose friend. I'm not going to speak on friendships. Let the House function. I am the Prime Minister. I too have something to say on that. There is no issue on that. What are you going to achieve by yelling? If this was done by the former president, it will not come out even in 10 years. You are all aware of it. I'm a member of COPE. When we are expressing views in COPE, there's a certain level of injustice. We gave an opportunity for the committee chairman to speak on this. He made it clear that a report will be presented. The views of the committee members, like yourself, must also be included in that report. There is a properly compiled report. After that report is presented to Parliament, we can debate on that. It's been almost 20 months. Never in the history of this country has it taken so long to conduct an investigation. The chairman of COPE has never before been threatened or pressurized like this.
ඉතිහාසයේ කිසිම දවසක කවදාවත් මේ වගේ තර්ජන බලපෑම් මෙල්ල වෙලා නැහැ.
මමත් කෝප් කමිටුවේ සමාජික
I too am a member of COPE. The chairman of COPE is here. You can ask him whether anyone made any threat to him.
එවැනි තර්ජනයක් කරාද කියන්නේ.
මහා බැංකු බැඳුම් කර ගනුදෙනුව පිළිබඳව
When I am presenting the Treasury Bond report to Parliament, I will reveal all the details to the nation.
මම මගේ කතාවේදී කියන්නම් මොකක්ද උනේ කියලා සියල්ලම මේ රට.
අප්පුහාමි මන්ත්‍රීතුමා දැන් ඔබට සතුටුයිද? හරි.
What happened to the report of the Committee on Public Enterprises, or COPE, regarding the central bank bond scam, which was said to be presented today? COPE Chairman Sunil Handunnetti said that it appears probable that 2 reports will be presented.
The COPE meeting, which was convened yesterday, suffered a setback as the committee's chairman Sunil Handunnetti walked out of the meeting in opposition to the behaviour of MPs representing the United National Party. Subsequently, UNP parliamentarian Abdul Maharouf had continued proceedings of the meeting as COPE chairman, after which COPE members of the UNP had decided that a police investigation should be launched into the company of Arjuna Mahendran's son-in-law and that steps should be taken under the penal code. One of the reasons which prompted MP Sunil Handunnetti to walk out of the meeting was the views expressed by UNP members regarding the Auditor General's report on the bond scam, which has already been submitted to Parliament. If there is a different opinion regarding the Auditor General, then that opinion could be included in the report separately. But it is inappropriate to get the Auditor General himself to make that change and present it. It was amidst this situation that I decided to walk out from my seat and the meeting, asking them to appoint whoever they want as an interim chairman. I do not think that this means that I have permanently left my position as chairman. But if that is required too, then I suppose Parliament can make a decision on that. They are trying to hide this scam like hiding a tree in a forest. If they are saying now that they have concluded in their report that Perpetual Treasuries is guilty, how is that possible? How can only Perpetual Treasuries be found guilty and the central bank governor is proven innocent? They must say if the conduct of the central bank governor is right or wrong. What they want to do is to drive this to their own objectives and manipulate the working committee as well as the entire country. What will be the fate of the COPE report amidst this backdrop? The draft which I compiled and presented as chairman was broadly discussed in the committee and was approved entirely by a group. Another group presented amendments and presented them as another report. We intend on presenting all of these reports to Parliament during the course of next week. We have remained silent so far with the hope that they would function according to a fair and democratic system. But that is not what is happening at the moment. If there is a report which they compiled, that should be presented to Parliament. That is a report of the United National Party. There is a report that I, as the chairman and the COPE secretariat, prepared. This report has been approved by a majority of MPs. The opportunity must be given for this report to be presented to Parliament so the people of the country would know the truth. Let us submit the report which was compiled yesterday and the report which was compiled by Sunil Handunnetti to Parliament and see which one is correct.
The Combined Trade Union Alliance of the Auditor General's Department commented on coercion made on the Auditor General's report.
Article 154 of the Constitution provides the mandate for the Auditor General to report to Parliament. The Auditor General will investigate the use of state funds and report it to Parliament. With regard to the Treasury bonds, the Auditor General has presented his professional opinion to Parliament. All matters related to the Treasury bonds have been reviewed and thereafter the Auditor General presents his professional view via a report. This report is not based on the parties or individuals. He has reviewed what has taken place within the legal framework when utilizing public funds, what should have been done and what had actually taken place, and thereafter he had presented his observations and recommendations to Parliament. COPE comprises of persons representing various parties. Those individuals have their own political opinions. However, that does not affect the Auditor General. There may be a clash of opinions among the members of COPE. The Auditor General has produced his independent professional view. We hope the opinion of the Auditor General will be respected and measures will be taken to protect the public resources. If not, we will have to resort to trade union action.
What exactly is this bond scam? While attention has been drawn on 2 instances, Minister Susil Premajayantha clarified the key irregularity in Parliament today.
I was a member of COPE when it was chaired by D.E.W. Gunasekara. I worked in this committee until the day before Parliament was dissolved. We worked on this bond issue day and night and even on weekends. In the section noted as excerpts in the Auditor General's report, excerpts from this document have also been included. The questions we asked and the answers we received are all in this document. In simple terms, what is that we have here? It is something which could be determined in a matter of 5 minutes. On the 2nd of March 2015, the government was in need of 13.55 billion rupees. The Treasury has written evidence that this requirement was informed. On the 26th of February, the Treasury decided to auction 1 billion rupees when the requirement was 13.55 billion. So on the 27th, from 9 am onwards, this process commenced automatically at the Public Debt Department on the 10th floor of the Central Bank. Now the bids started coming in. However, there are only 16 registered primary dealers, including commercial banks, which can submit bids. The capital was at over 250 million at the time. I think this has increased to 1 billion now. So primary dealers bid for this and there was just 1 billion up for sale. So 16 dealers bid between 250 and 500 million for the 1 billion. When this went on, this became 20.7 billion. Bids amounting to 20.78 billion had been submitted for the 1 billion auction. Of the 20.78, bids amounting to 2 billion had been submitted by perpetual treasuries. In addition to this 2 billion, for the first time in history, the Bank of Ceylon submitted bids on behalf of another primary dealer. This went in for the auction. How much was it? 2 bids amounting to 3 billion and 1 bid amounting to 5 billion. And the total was 13 billion. So of the 20.78 billion, bids amounting to 15 billion had been submitted by one company. Bank of Ceylon had only bid 8 million and 500 million, totaling only 500 million for themselves. So while they bid 508 million for themselves, they bid 13 billion on behalf of perpetual treasuries. So when 20 billion was bid for a 1 billion rupee auction, then Governor of the Central Bank, Arjuna Mahendran, who was on the 16th floor, comes down to the 10th floor. He came twice, once at 10:45 but did not say anything. He came again at 12:30. When he came at 12:30, he got the bid sheet. The bid sheet has a list of bidders. He looked at the bid sheet and said bids amounting to 20.78 billion have been received, so accept bids up to 20 billion. He noted that the government was in need of 13.5 billion for the next month. At that instance, the debt superintendent said no, that cannot be done, and that it was 1 billion which was auctioned. Two people did not agree to that. The superintendent and the deputy superintendent both said this. Then what did he say? He said accept bids for 10 billion. Then a note was made that 1 billion was increased to 10 billion on the instructions of the central bank governor. These notes are there in the documents. This document has all of that. It was the answer to the question I asked. To whom does 5 billion out of the 10 billion belong to? Perpetual treasuries. So Arjuna Aloysius is its chairman. And who is he? He is Arjuna Mahendran's son-in-law. So this is what has happened. That is the only company that bid more than 1 billion. Why? All the other dealers are wondering why on earth you would bid 2 billion when there is only 1 billion on offer. So this decision was not taken at 10:45. It was taken at 12:30. Why? Because the auction was closed at 11:05. It usually closes at 11. But on that day, it closed at 11:05. Why? He goes and tells the chief of Bank of Ceylon that if this comes through, it would be a jackpot. We have this conversation on tape. Now they've got the jackpot because Minister Champika Ranawaka said that this company has earned an income of 14 billion. Well, there is a jackpot. So this cannot be concealed. It simply cannot.
Former chairman of COP D.W. Gunasekara expressed the following.
During my time, it was the acting Auditor General. This time around, it is the Auditor General who is appointed by this very government. He is a professional with a vast experience in this field and respected by the public. He is the topmost individual in this profession. Several MPs cannot call for several actions of his report to be removed. If the observations of the Auditor General are to be removed, it would have an impact on the final say. What I can say is that what has been proposed is somewhat of a tactical approach. The chairman does not seem to be involved in that. That is why he had stepped out. That was the measure that had to be taken. They cannot appoint a committee.
Here's a look at views expressed in the political arena on COPE and the Treasury bond scam.
There is no change in our stance. There is a report signed by 11 members of COPE. Others can also present reports. No one can exert pressure on the Auditor General. If one says that it needs to be changed, the public must reject them. Once the COPE report is made public, the actual matter will be exposed. Following that, if certain actions needs to be taken, there is a process for that. We will be there for that. We do not need to panic at this moment. There is a time for that. Imagine the profit generated via 100 or 150 branches within a large number of employees, and then imagine the profit generated in one single room with a few computers. If they are doing so in a day, a week, a month or 6 months, these great businessmen would conquer the world.
The government has not taken up the responsibility of inquiring into the corruption from their side. That is how this was vested with COPE. After this has been presented to COPE, the UNP group in COPE are causing an obstruction for this corruption to be exposed. It is clear that the objective of the UNP is to not present this report but to postpone this. 14 members means more than a majority in COPE. The chairman of the committee and majority members have 100% decided to accept the notes and recommendations as well as the punishments that need to be imposed on the corrupt mentioned in this report. On the 21st of October, the first ever report of COPE on the Treasury bond scam was signed by its chairman Sunil Handunetti and approved. There is no doubt about it.
With the advantage of insider trading, the son-in-law of the governor has generated a net profit of around 10 billion rupees. 10 billion rupees was obtained on the written basis for 30 years. The net profit of the son-in-law's company in 14 months is 10 billion. As the joint opposition, we informed the president that a commission be appointed where we too, with a certain degree of power, can provide evidence to punish those accountable.
A certain group of MPs are not allowing for the COPE report to be produced. Of the 10 billion generated via the Treasury bond scam, these persons have been given 100 million each to sabotage this process. They are carrying out that responsibility. We asked the Gons to look into this. They are attempting to conceal this, but they cannot. The more they try, the more it is exposed. This is the miracle of the gods.
The law needs to be enforced. The sum of 10 billion rupees must be returned to the Ministry of Finance and the Treasury. It is clear that there are certain persons inside COPE who are attempting to protect the corrupt, including Arjun Mahendran and Arjun Aloysius. This is disgraceful.
The persons who made a loud noise on these steps in the recent past are now in COPE defending fraud and corruption. They are attempting to protect Arjun Mahendran. What happened during the time of Mahinda Rajapaksa was the same. Theft was committed, political power was used to protect those thieves. This government said that it would change it, but it is doing the same. You cannot solve the issue by making replacements and changing the face. This is what has ultimately happened because of that.
The United National Party is operating in a manner so to secure the release of Arjun Mahendran and blame it on someone else. This is a serious issue. I believe that there is a strong evidence to prove that Arjun Mahendran made a personal influence in making decisions on the treasury bonds. The UMP group of and others spoke against fraud and corruption during the Rajapaksa administration. Since this is a flaw attached to their party, they are trying to cover it up. This is a serious matter. The people have started to understand this.
In the wake of major rifts during the meeting of the Committee on Public Enterprises or COPE over the Central Bank bond report, former chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce Chandra Jayaratne has urged the Speaker and members of Parliament to reflect upon the oath of office that they pledged when becoming members of Parliament and to act accordingly in upholding the Constitution.
In an open letter, Jayaratne appeals to the Speaker and MPs to reflect on their duties and work according to their conscience when reviewing, debating, adopting or rejecting the report or reports on the alleged bond scams of 2015 and 2016 presented by the COPE. Among other things, the letter questions whether policymakers are bound by the party leaders' wishes even if they are in conflict with their conscience. Chandra Jayaratne also questions whether policymakers should not assess whether there is prima facie evidence of a possible loss to the state of significant value. He questions whether there is a likelihood of insider information, insider dealings or related party transactions having tainted the processes adopted tender awards by the central bank.
Amidst turbulent times in the political sphere, several more projects under the Gum at the 100-Day Initiative were launched today, bringing solutions to the issues faced by the people.
The Gum at the 100-Day Initiative. With the people, for the people.
A drinking water project was launched today to ease the burden on the people of the Kapachu village in Vavuniya, who have been suffering for years without access to clean drinking water. Upali Dharmadasa is financially supporting this initiative. A drinking water project for the village of Idiman in Kenya was declared open under the Gammatha 100 Days initiative today. These people were deprived of access to clean drinking water for many years. This project was financially supported by the National Lotteries Board. The people of Degalara, who were not only deprived of the basic necessities for many years but had also to constantly face the threat of wild elephants, were gifted with a new community hall today. The Gammatha 100 Days initiative will continue to bring relief to the people.
The Gammatha 100-Day Initiative. With the people, for the people.
Welcome back to the news. The Supreme Court informed the Speaker of Parliament today that the VAT Amendment Bill is not in contravention of the Constitution. MPs Bandula Gunawardena, Udaya Gammanpila and Sisira Jayakodi had earlier requested court to make null the bill, citing that it was in violation of the Constitution.
Deputy Speaker Tilanga Sumutipala announced a Supreme Court determination to Parliament. In a press release today, the Ministry of Finance says that the VAT Amendment Bill will be debated in Parliament tomorrow and will thereafter be passed. The Finance Minister says that all hidden charges in the previous VAT system have been removed. VAT was introduced as a 10% levy on goods and services in the year 2002. The statement goes on to say that VAT was increased to 20% by 2006, and for the first time in 2013, VAT was imposed on wholesale and retail trade. It adds that under the previous VAT system, not only was it subject to the revenue generated through the sale of goods, but was also subject to the entire capital cost, exempting the 25% relief that was granted. It goes on to say that the new VAT Amendment Bill will ensure that a tax boundary and percentage would be evenly divided within the trade community in a just manner.
The meeting of the Board of Directors of the Lanka Development Bank, which was due to take place last Friday, but was later postponed on the written instructions of the chairman of the bank, reconvened yesterday. Yesterday's meeting can be considered as the first legally valid meeting of the Board of Directors of the bank since the 24th of March, as the meetings that were held after the 24th of March lacked legal validity, as some of them were presided by the former chairman, while the others were convened on his instructions, even though he was not present for same. Yesterday's board meeting was the first legally valid meeting of the Board of Directors of the bank in 6 months, and much of the meeting focused on the revelations made by Action TV. It was revealed that video footage of the Action TV reports were played at yesterday's meeting. It was further revealed that none of the board papers that were to be tabled at yesterday's meeting were considered by the board. The letter dated 28 September 2016, issued by the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Enterprise Development, was being avoided by the board. As per the provisions of the letter, the Director Board of the Lanka Development Bank were required to submit a report to the Committee on Public Enterprises on 3 matters. The first of the 3 issues was the recruitment of 44 unqualified individuals to the bank within 14 months to the Yahapalne coming into force. The second issue was the transfer of the bank's legal counsel, who was a senior lawyer to the bank's Polonnaruwa branch, to an ill-suited designation and filling the vacancy of the post with an outside lawyer and appointing him as a company secretary as well. The third matter that the Board of Directors had to respond to was the fraud that took place at the bank's Vennapo branch on the 29th, 30th and 31st of December last year. It was noted that this fraud had been confirmed by an internal audit of the bank. The directors who met yesterday did, however, decide to close down the Tambuttegama and Akurassa branches before the end of the month. It was noted that these branches were set up under the Yahapalne, though, however, without the approval of the central bank. It was also noted that special attention was required to provide a solution to those customers who had opened accounts at these 2 branches. A parallel can also be drawn with the manner in which the Tambuttegama branch was administered and the Sakwiti scandal. The letter of resignation of Gamini Pitipana from the post of legal counsel and company secretary was another important matter that took place at yesterday's meeting. His appointment to the position and his behavior, which has been recorded in the police complaints book, will be revealed by Action TV tomorrow. Though former chairman Lasantha Gunawardena convened all the meetings which were held after the 24th of March, he was only present for some of these meetings which had no legal basis.
A Hartal campaign was in effect in the north today against the shooting of 2 university students. Opposition leader R. Sampanthan posed a question at Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in Parliament in this regard today.
We demand that an impartial inquiry be conducted into these deaths immediately and the truth found out and the culprits punished. This inquiry must ascertain as to how gunshots were sustained by the rider of the motorcycle and not the pillion rider, if in fact they were fleeing from the police. This circumstance would seem to suggest, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the firing could have taken place from in front and not from behind. The suspects have been arrested and now remanded. I wish to ask the Honourable Prime Minister as to what further steps have been taken to ensure that the culprits are actually brought to book, since serious doubts have been raised in the recent past as to the jury processes through which high-profile crimes have ended with no conviction at all. I also wish to ask the Prime Minister what steps have been taken by the government to immediately ensure that such unlawful acts by the law enforcement authorities are not repeated.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, the incidents which relate to the shooting and the death of the students have come as a shock to all of us. I want to assure you that all steps are taken in a transparent manner and it will be put before the judicial inquiry, which is independent. In addition, the government will also at the end of the proceeding decide on the need for an independent inquiry. We regret what has happened.
The National Forum of the Land Advocacy Project in the Eastern and Sabaragama provinces was held yesterday.
A distinguished gathering was among those present at the event.
People who are in Sri Lanka, they have problems, land problems. 82% of the land is state land. I myself was shocked to find that. If 82% is state land, it's only 18% owned by the private. Now with this, now look at the problem that the people will be faced with. State land, when the state owns the land, it has to be given to the people. Otherwise the state, what's the point in the state having a land? It has to be given to a person either by a permit or a grant or a lease or some sort of a document.
Well, that's a wrap of your primetime news for tonight. Thank you for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola De Zoiza.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.